Hi, welcome back to Mental Override. I just want to thank you if you clicked the link below. On today's talk, I want to talk to you about why I mountain bike. This is something I've thought about for a while, and at first, one of the things I experienced was overcoming fear. There was little micro challenges, little things I had to do every day to challenge myself that I was afraid of, whether it was a steep hill, a trick, a longer ride, falling on a steep, and then I was able to build some courage and some strength by overcoming that fear. The second thing that I wanted to talk about, which really gets into the talk today, was awareness. You see, when mountain biking, you cultivate a sense of situational awareness. And in the military, situational awareness is taught all the time. We're given tedious tasks, micro details to cultivate this situational awareness. You see, as I'm mountain biking, you need to be fully present. And when we're fully present, we have an awareness of our environment, we have an awareness of ourselves, we have an awareness of the situation that we're in, the situations that we're in. Now let's take this a little bit deeper. What I wanted to focus on today was your inner child, childhood trauma, fear, and cultivating awareness and presence. You see, right now in society, everything is competing for our attention, whether it's entertainment, whether it's your favorite sports team, whether it's your self-medicating, your addictions, even our habits, routines, our jobs are all trying to consume our attention, and we become consumers. Now, when I'm riding my bike, I have a state of awareness like I was a child. And what happens is it helps break that cycle of being a consumer and starting to be aware. See, in order to have an intentional life, we need to be aware of what's going on. We need to be aware of ourselves, aware of our environment, aware of our choices and our consequences. So biking puts us into a full state of awareness. Now, why is this important? I think that we see the world through a set of eyes that never change. See, the one thing about us that never changes is our awareness. It is the consciousness that we possess. You see, our awareness sees our thoughts. It is the observer of our thoughts. Our awareness sees our emotions. Our awareness sees other people's actions, comments. It even sees our thoughts that we tell ourselves. And in that, we realize there is someone observing those things. There is a separation between pure consciousness, awareness, and our thoughts. There is a separation between pure consciousness and awareness of our feelings. See, we aren't those things. And one of the things that I've been working on over the last 6 months is what psychologists would call schemas, or inner child work, or childhood trauma. See, when we mountain bike, it takes us to a pure state of awareness. And I think that pure state of awareness is the same awareness that we experience as a child. And as a child, we have a sense of awe and wonder. We have curiosity. And curiosity gives us presence. Curiosity says, how can we? It says, what might be. Curiosity seeks out what is true, and it looks for the awe and wonder and the enjoyment in life. And see, fear, it removes us from action, and it takes away our curiosity. So I started looking at the different ways in which I see the world. Now, schemas, those are basically patterns of thought and lenses that we put over ourselves as we grow as adults. And those things are like, for example, people-pleasing. Why are we people-pleasing? Or trying for perfection all the time. Why are we trying to win people's love through perfection? It's because we have a belief about something, a belief about the way the world is because of some of the trauma we may have experienced as a child. See, that gives us a filter of fear and a filter of expectation. So, fear being false expectations appearing real, It's like a future down payment on what you don't want. And when we experience fear, I think we lack awareness. We lack being present. We lack being in the moment. See, as a child, we were always curious. We didn't have these ideologies. It's almost like, say, racism. Racism is something that is programmed into people. We're taught it. We're taught it through our experience, through watching others. I don't see children naturally just being racist towards other children, for example. And that's kind of how schemas work. There are things that are imprinted on us to see the world a certain way. Now, to work through these things, let's look back and think of what it was like when we were a child. When we ride our bike, we're fully present. When we're children, before we inherit these beliefs, before we have inherited beliefs, before we have trauma that tells us how to see the world, we have a pure sense of awareness. This awareness lets us observe nature for what it is. It lets us observe our feelings and emotions for what they are. We have a sense of neutrality and we don't judge. It just is what it is. One of the beauties about mountain biking is it teaches you to be present. You have to be present to ride your bike. Even sometimes I'll take out the earbuds, especially when racing, because I'm not fully present. I can't pay attention to what's actually happening around me, to see the world for what it is. When we see the world through fear, it's a skewed lens. It's not necessarily the truth, because many times there are ways to overcome fear, but we have chosen to see something for more than what it is. Now, the second thing I want to kind of bring into this is breath work, for example. Whether it's Wim Hof, something that I've practiced for years, the cold plunges, pranayama breath work, all of these things, the breath is to bring us to a sense of being fully present. It brings us to a state of awareness. It takes us away from being entertained. As we're being entertained, our minds are being told what to think. We're being told what to feel. We're no longer being curious. You see, curiosity without action is just entertainment. But when we're curious as children, we go, we do something, we experience something, we try it. We don't have the fear. So, and when we are no longer consuming, when we're no longer being entertained, we can be fully present and experience. So doing breath work, focusing on your breath, just in, out, square breathing, box breathing, pranayama, Wim Hof. There are many different breathwork techniques that people can use to cultivate a sense of presence. This is one way I find that we can overcome fear. It takes practice, it takes conscientious effort, but it helps us come back to where we are. You see, I think in all of us, we have our truest self, our inner child, our pure consciousness and awareness. And I think that this gets distorted over time. I think that fear, life, traumas, all these things we put on our minds and we carry with us, and we start to see the world through this fear and these lenses. And mountain biking can help us return to that state of being a kid. Do you remember what it felt like to be a child before you were afraid of things? When everything had novelty to it. Everything had a sense of curiosity. Everything was new. You see, when we get into our routines, when we get into familiarity, those constant routines of day to day, we lack curiosity. And fear removes curiosity from us. It removes action. And as a child, we were seeking out the world. Everything had a newness and a beauty to it. And as we program and have our inherited beliefs, we lose that sense of novelty. We lose that sense of newness. We lose that sense of awareness because we begin to predict our own future. We go, it's just going to be the same. Work sucks. Life sucks. I'll never be financially free. I'll never be able to save up enough. But I always got money for another smoke, another beer, another cigarette, another joint, another drink. And as we go back to these things of entertainment to numb our minds, to destroy our consciousness awareness, we no longer deal with the things that we need to deal with. We no longer challenge ourselves to grow. We're no longer stretching ourselves to become the person who has always been there, to return to that pure sense of awareness. There is a way in which a person can live in non-judgment, where they just have a pure sense of awareness of the world. We don't know whether some things are good or some things are bad because we can't necessarily predict the income. It's like the story of the farmer's boy who breaks his leg and it's, oh, that's bad. But then, a war happens and everyone's conscripted, but he doesn't get conscripted because his leg is broken. It's like, oh, that's good. But then he can't work and plow the fields because his leg's bad and he can't get food, and oh, that's bad. But then the community comes together and helps him and feeds him, and oh, that's good. So, sometimes there are things where we just don't know the outcome. And if we lack curiosity, if we have childhood trauma that keeps us from being aware and seeing the world for the way it is. Do you ever look in the mirror? I get this a lot. I look in the mirror and I go, I still feel like my 20-year-old self. I still feel like I'm seeing the world through 20-year-old eyes. And then I look in the mirror and I realize I'm in my 40s. Sometimes I wonder, is it just like that when you're in your 70s and 80s? You still see the world through the eyes of like when you were a child? And I think that this is part of what our soul experiences. I think it's consciousness itself that is life itself. When we become unconscious, it's when life ends, when animals, people stop breathing and they lose consciousness. It's like they say sleep is the cousin of death. When we sleep, we lose our consciousness. And our souls are here to learn lessons, I believe. I believe we're here to be aware and experience everything that life has to offer. Whether it's loss, whether it's love, whether it's the mountain peak or the mountain valley. See, we need the contrast of all these things, the greatest highs and the lowest lows, in order to learn the lessons that our souls are here to learn. One concept is that we are eternal beings. And if we lived forever, nothing would have any value. It's actually in the experience of loss or lack or things living and dying that we actually get meaning in life. So I want to tie this together. Fear is false expectations appearing real. We can't overcome fear unless we have a sense of awareness. Even with biking, when there's a difficult hill feature thing we're trying to do, we need a sense of awareness to know where we are, what we're capable of, what we're doing. If you just close your eyes and huck it, it's not going to work. Now, as children, we saw the world with a sense of awe and wonder. We had a sense of novelty with everything. We experienced the world for what it is and we didn't judge. Getting on your bike, riding through the trails gives you that sense of awareness, and you can practice it the same way you can practice it with breath work, something I've incorporated into my life for a number of years. When we can take the time to be present, we can ask ourselves, who are we? We can ask ourselves, what do I want? Why do I want it? And we can remove that entertainment, the world, the tell me vision, all the things that want us to be a consumer, to ignore the things that are important to us, to ignore who we are, to put on the scapegoats and put on the titles and the labels, the things that say, well, I'm this, I'm that, I'm on the hierarchy scale of entitlement here, here, here. And we no longer realize that we are just pure awareness, that we're souls experiencing the earth, having a human experience, an eternal being having a human experience, a spiritual being having a human experience. And we want to give ourselves titles and labels that limit us. Yes, we all, we can be injured, we can be disabled, we can have job titles, we can have letters behind our name. But the one unchanging thing, all those things can change. The one unchanging thing is our pure awareness that we were born with, the sense of consciousness that we experience the world with. So I want to ask you today, what are you doing to cultivate awareness in your life? Are you self-medicating? Are you just ignoring what's going on in your life? Are you trying to escape the reality that you're in? Or are you trying to embrace it fully? I know it can be hard. I know it can be scary. It can be hard to face facts about your life. It can be hard to face the fears or the trauma that's been in our life and work through that to try and see a new truth and try and see the world a different way. I know for me, it took a long time to work through the traumas that I experienced in my life. I hope to maybe go on and have a live here again soon, and maybe dig deeper into these and hear some of your comments. But I hope this helps you. And today, my challenge for you is get on your bike. See what that pure sense of awareness is like. See what it's like to ride around in the fall here, where it's quite beautiful. We're just out at the bench here. We got a new beautiful spray paint on there from all the negative things, but the world's beautiful. And you're not going to see it if you're not cultivating awareness, if you're not being present. Why do they call it the present? Because it's a gift. Sounds cheesy, but thanks for tuning in to Mental Override. I hope today's talk helped you out. And stay strong. Don't give up. Take the time. Do some breath work. Give yourself 5 minutes. Give yourself something in the morning. Break the routine. Break the constant routine that tells you everything will be the same and nothing will change. Use Mental Override and live intentionally. Thanks for tuning in.